Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Giunta, the music director and conductor of the Des Moines Symphony and Academy, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our Masterworks 2 program, On the Town. This program begins with Bernstein's wonderful On the Town. Of course, it was a musical that he wrote about 3 American sailors and what they experienced in New York for those 24 hours. It's terrific orchestration and includes some great solos for E-flat clarinet and alto saxophone, and always a pleasure to perform this music. Prelude, Fugue, and Riffs is a piece that Bernstein wrote in 1949, originally for the Woody Herman Band, premiered in 1955 on one of his omnibus concerts for young people. It's a terrific piece of music. It's 3 movements. The first movement is scored for just brass section, the second movement is just for the saxophones, and the third movement is everyone together playing these wonderful jazz riffs. Bernstein felt that this was a very serious piece of classical music that celebrated jazz, and that's how he approached it all his life. It's a piece that has a lot of improvisation and syncopation, and there's some fabulous instrumental colors in this, as you would expect from a real live jazz band. So we're thrilled to be playing. It's a premiere for the Des Moines Symphony to perform the solo clarinet part on this piece, which, by the way, was originally performed by Benny Goodman. We have our own principal clarinetist, Greg Oakes. Greg is a professor of music at Iowa State University. He's a fabulous musician, and I know you'll really enjoy his solo playing on this piece. Just imagine this, by the time that Mozart was 25 years old, he had toured Amsterdam, Vienna, London, Paris, Rome. I mean, he had virtually gone to every major musical capital, and he found the great liberal city of Paris, where lots of things are going on, lots of forward-thinking people living there. Mozart was there and immediately had a student who was a harp pianist and a harpist, and he decided he would write this piece. The harp in those days was not as prominent. It was kind of a folk music instrument that was used by amateurs at the time, and honestly, the current modern day harp as we know it today wasn't really invented until about 1810 or 1820. So Mozart decided to use the harp as a solo part, but primarily as you would pluck the strings of a piano or even a harpsichord. That's kind of what it sounds like. It's not like the modern harp where we have lots of glisses and colors and key changes and whatnot. And the flute was very much also a part of being developed at this time. There was a 4-keyed flute that was very prominent in the orchestras in those days, but there was then the newly invented 6-keyed flute, which Mozart heard and then finally wrote this piece for that, and it was a vastly more intelligent instrument. We were able to do a lot more things. So these 2 unusual instruments became solo virtuosic parts for and with a small orchestra behind them, and that's how the Mozart Flute and Harp Concerto was born. It's a delightful piece of music. It's in 3 movements. It's beautifully scored and very elegant, joyful, and I know you're going to enjoy it. The 2 soloists I've chosen for this program are our principal flutist, Kayla Berggraf, and our principal harpist, Aaron Brooker Miller. This piece is sort of the perfect amalgam of a wonderful principal flutist and a wonderful principal harpist. Terrific orchestra, so I'm delighted that both of them said yes when I invited them to play with us. Now, Jean Sibelius was, in my opinion, one of the great symphonists of all time, and maybe on the same level as I think of a Beethoven or a Mahler. His music is often credited with giving Finland a national identity during its struggles for independence from Russia. It's interesting to me that Sibelius was not educated in Finland, but he was educated in Berlin and Vienna. And it was in those 2 cities that he discovered the music of Tchaikovsky and the music of Anton Bruckner. Both became heroes of his, and as a result, his music is symbolic of those composers. For example, the beautiful melodies that you hear in Sibelius's music is reminiscent, of course, of Tchaikovsky, and the big escalating brass harmonies and organ sounds, that of course came from Anton Bruckner. This music is wonderfully engaging and is some of the most beautiful music ever written. You know, I'm always delighted to conduct a concert when in the solo spotlight we have our own musicians. This is extraordinary. We have an extraordinary orchestra here and an extraordinary group of principal players. The fact that so many of our players are equally at home being in the solo spotlight as well as in their principal chairs in the orchestra speaks so highly of Des Moines and so highly of this orchestra. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on October 27th and 28th for On the Town.